Is being a decent human being really that difficult? I mean, the other day, as y'all know, I live on a small little homestead. Well, we inherited a few goats, and my fence is not or was not definitely capable of taking care of said goats, but we had no choice. Well, I hear that my neighbor who bought his land strictly for hunting um, complained to another neighbor of mine about my goats. So I got a hold of him just to make it right and advised him that I was going to do everything I could to make sure my goats stay on my property. Well, he didn't take that as well as I thought he would because he still complained the whole time I spoke to him on the phone about my goats. And as far as I know, they'd only been on his property one time and he saw them on his camera. Well, that was the last time that they were on his property, but a couple of weeks later, he gives me a text message showing a picture of a white dog that I rescued from a neighbor. Now, my neighbor wasn't trying to be mean to the dog or anything else, but he had to move back to the city and could not keep the dog. So I took the dog. Well, the dog, of course, is a livestock guard dog, which you cannot keep pinned up unless you have a lot of fencing and even hot wire for a lot of them because they can jump. Anyway, so he sends me a text message about my dog and says that he's going to take care of the problem himself. And so of course, I do what I can to keep my dog in the property or anything. But as far as I know, that was the only time he had ever been on there. It was that one time. He did not send me telling me that they're always there. It's just this one time. Well, a few days later, I I hear this train horn at the beginning of my property. So I look out, and it's a deputy. So I go out there, and I mean I have to put my muck boots on and everything because it was pretty muddy outside, and my truck was stuck. And he said, I said, can I help you? He said, yes. He said, I got a complaint about animal abuse. And I said, animal abuse? Then I stopped, I thought about it, and then I laughed. More because I knew exactly what was going on. And I told him, I know what's going on. Um, and I told him about my neighbor. He said, yeah. He said, your neighbor complained, stating that he has been taking care of your dog, feeding it. And I was like, well, that's kind of hard to do in Texas, but okay. I was like, does it look like my dogs are starving? And he said, no, obviously they're not starving. And I showed him where we feed them. I showed her where we water them. And then we sat and talked for about 45 minutes, just BSing about stuff, because that's what we do here in Oklahoma. And so I sent a message to my neighbor, just letting him know. I'm like, hey, if you're going to call the deputy, at least be honest about it. And then he, a few days later, he tells my other neighbor that he is going to shoot my dog next time it comes on our property or it comes on his property. Like, okay, well, that very weekend, my wife's dog goes missing. It's never missing. It's always at our house at the same time. It walks along the road. It goes to a neighbor's house 2 miles down the road. Their dogs come to our house. Um, Other neighbors have admitted feeding our dogs. So, of course, they're going to go there. Our dog is now missing. My wife's dog is missing, and she is thoroughly upset. And the thing about it is that it's a felony to shoot a dog that comes on your property unless it attacks your livestock or you, and you have to prove it. And I can prove my dogs are friendly as can be. They are friendly. I mean, I kind of wish they weren't as friendly as they are, but they are. You can come on our property, they're not going to do anything to you. He admitted that he feeds my dog. So he lures my dog into his property, and he's going to shoot them, and he probably shot my wife's dog. All of this could have been averted if he'd just been friendly with me. I told him, I'm like, hey, I'm disabled. I have a hard time doing things on my own. I have to have help. And my buddy that was helping me isn't here. But he said, I don't care. And I'm going to win this lawsuit or win this, what do you call it? You know, he called it a lawsuit. He said, if I have to fight you, I will win because I can afford to win. I don't know how they do it in Texas, but that's not the way it works here in Oklahoma. It's not based on your money. But why do people have to be like that? Why can't somebody just be a friendly neighbor? Every time I see a neighbor outside working, I stop and ask them if they need help. It's being neighborly. We don't even agree with politics, but we don't care. It's just about being friendly because you may need each other. And even if that's not the case, you don't have to be a dick. Why do people choose to be hateful? Hell, you drive on the highway and you see it all day long. People cutting each other off, people not letting people over, flipping each other off. We just don't have understanding for each other. I mean, what if that person that was driving recklessly was on the way to the hospital? What if that person driving really slow was having a really bad time and was depressed? It was just going for a Sunday drive. Why can't we just love our neighbors? That's the way it should be. Stay in peace. Stay in love.